Good morning, or afternoon, or evening, whatever it might be for you. We are in Deuteronomy, starting in chapter 1. These are the words which Moshe spoke to all Israel beyond the Jordan in the wilderness, in the desert plain opposite Suphah, between Paran and Tophel, and Lebanon, and Hatzroth, and Dizabah. 11 days' journey from Horeb by the way of Mount Seir to Kadesh Barnea. And it came to be in the 40th year, in the 11th new moon, on the first day of the new moon, that Moshe spoke to the children of Israel according to all that Yahweh had commanded him concerning them. And after he had stricken Sihon, sovereign of the Amorites, who dwelt in Heshbon, and Og, sovereign of Bashan, who dwelt at Ashtaroth in Idri, beyond the Jordan in the land of Moab, Moshe undertook to declare this Torah, saying, Yahweh our Elohim spoke to us in Horeb, saying, You have dwelt long enough at this mountain. Turn and set out on your way, and go into the mountains of the Amorites, and to all the neighboring places in the desert plain, in the mountains, and in the low country, and in the Negeb, and on the sea coast, to the land of the Canaanites, and to Lebanon as far as the great river, the river Euphrates. See, I have set the land before you. Go in and possess the land which Yahweh swore to your fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, to Jacob, to give them and their seed after them. And I spoke to you at that time, saying, I am unable to bear you by myself. Yahweh your Elohim has increased you, and see, you are today as numerous as the stars in the heavens. Yahweh Elohim of your fathers is going to add to you 1,000 times more than you are, and bless you as he has spoken to you. Excuse me. How do I bear your pressure and your burden and your strife by myself? Choose men wise and understanding and known to your tribes, and let me appoint them as your heads. And you answered me and said, The word which you have spoken to us to do is good. And I took the heads of your tribes, wise men and known, and made them heads over you, leaders of thousands, and leaders of hundreds, and leaders of 50s, and leaders of 10s, and officers for your tribes. And I commanded your judges at that time, saying, When hearing between your brothers, judge righteously between a man and his brother, or the sojourner who is with him. Do not show partiality in right ruling. Hear the small as well as the great. Do not be afraid of anyone's face, for the right ruling belongs to Elohim. And the case which is too hard for you, bring it to me, and I shall hear it. And I commanded you at that time all the words which you should do. Then we set out from Horeb, and went through all that great and awesome wilderness which you saw on the way to the mountains of the Amorites, as Yahweh our Elohim had commanded us, and we came to Kadesh Barnea. And I said to you, You have come to the mountains of the Amorites, which Yahweh our Elohim is giving us. See, Yahweh your Elohim has set the land before you. Go up and possess it, as Yahweh Elohim of your fathers has spoken to you. Do not fear, nor be discouraged. And all of you came near to me, and said, Let us send men before us, and let them search out the land for us, and bring back word to us of the way by which we should go up, and of the cities into which we would come. And the matter was good in my eyes. Excuse me. So I took 12 of your men, one man from each tribe. And they turned and went up into the mountains, and came to the Wadi Eshcol, and spied it out. And they took some of the fruit of the land in their hands, and brought it down to us. And they brought back word to us, saying, The land which Yahweh our Elohim is giving us is good. But you would not go up, and rebelled against the mouth of Yahweh your Elohim, and grumbled in your tents, and said, Because Yahweh was hating us, he has brought us out of the land of Mitzrayim to give us into the hand of the Amorites, to destroy us. Where are we going to? Our brothers have made our hearts melt, saying, The people are greater and taller than we. The cities are great and walled up to the heavens, and we saw the sons of the Anakim there too. Then I said to you, Have no dread or fear of them. Yahweh your Elohim, who is going before you, he does fight for you according to all he did for you in Mitzrayim before your eyes, and in the wilderness where you saw how Yahweh your Elohim has borne you, as a man bears his son, in all the way that you went until you came to this place. Yet in this matter, you are putting no trust in Yahweh, your Elohim. Excuse me. Who is going before you in the way to seek out a place for you to pitch your tents, to show you the way you should go in fire by night and in cloud by day. And Yahweh heard the voice of your words and was wroth, and took an oath, saying, not one of these men of this evil generation shall see that good land of which I swore to give your fathers, except Caleb, son of Jephunneh. He shall see it, and to him and his children I give the land on which he walked, because he followed Yahweh completely. And Yahweh was enraged with me for your sake, saying, you do not go in there either. Yehoshua, the son of Nun, who stands before you, he shall go in there. Strengthen him, for he shall cause Israel to inherit. And your little ones and your children, who you say are for a prey, who today have no knowledge of good and evil, they are going in there, and to them I give it, and they are to possess it. But you, turn and take your journey into the wilderness by the way of the Sea of Reeds. Then you answered and said to me, we have sinned against Yahweh. We ourselves are going up, and we shall fight, as Yahweh our Elohim commanded us. And when each one of you had girded on his battle gear, you were ready to go up into the mountain. And Yahweh said to me, say to them, do not go up, nor fight, for I am not in your midst, lest you be smitten before your enemies. So I spoke to you, but you would not listen, and rebelled against the mouth of Yahweh, and acted proudly, and went up into the mountain. Then the Amorites who dwelt in that mountain came out against you, and chased you as bees do, and drove you back from Seir to Hormah. And you returned and wept before Yahweh, but Yahweh would not listen to your voice, nor give ear to you. So you dwelt in Kadesh many days, according to the days that you dwelt. Chapter 2. Then we turned and set out into the wilderness, the way of the Sea of Reeds, as Yahweh spoke to me. And we went round Mount Seir many days. And Yahweh spoke to me, saying, you have gone around this mountain long enough. Turn northward, and command the people, saying, you are about to pass over into the border of your brothers, the descendants of Esau, who live in Seir, and they are afraid of you. So be on your guard. Do not strive with them, for I do not give you any of their land. No, not so much as one footstep, because I have given Mount Seir to Esau as a possession. What food you buy from them, with silver you shall eat, and also what water you buy from them, with silver you shall drink. For Yahweh your Elohim has blessed you in all the work of your hand. He has known your wandering through this great wilderness these 40 years. Yahweh your Elohim has been with you. You have not lacked any matter. And when we passed beyond our brothers, the descendants of Esau who dwell in Seir, away from the way of the desert plain, away from Elath and Etzion Geber, we turned and passed over by way of the wilderness of Moab. And Yahweh said to me, do not distress Moab, nor stir yourself up against them in battle, for I do not give you any of their land as a possession, because I have given Ar to the descendants of Lot as a possession. The Emites had dwelt there formerly, a people as great and numerous and tall as the Anakim. They were also reckoned as Rephites, like the Anakim, but the Moabites call them Emites. And the Horites formerly dwelt in Seir, but the descendants of Esau dispossessed them and destroyed them from before them, and dwelt in their place, as Israel did in the land of their possession, which Yahweh gave them. Now rise up and pass over the Wadi Zered. So we passed over the Wadi Zered, and the time we took to come from Kadesh Barnea until we passed over the Wadi Zered was 38 years, until all the generation of the men of battle was consumed from the midst of the camp, as Yahweh had sworn to them. And also the hand of Yahweh was against them, to destroy them from the midst of the camp until they were consumed. And it came to be, when all the men of battle had finally perished from among the people, that Yahweh spoke to me, saying, This day you are to pass over at Ar, the boundary of Moab. And when you come near the children of Ammon, do not distress them, nor stir yourself up against them, for I do not give you any of the land of the children of Ammon as a possession, because I have given it to the descendants of Lot as a possession. That was also reckoned as a land of Rephites. Rephites formerly dwelt there, but the Ammonites call them Zamzumim, a people as great and numerous and tall as the Anakim. But Yahweh destroyed them before them, and they dispossessed them and dwelt in their place, as he had done for the descendants of Esau, who dwelt in Seir, when he destroyed the Horites from before them. They dispossessed them and dwelt in their place even to this day. And the Awim, who dwelt in villages as far as Azah and Kaphtorim, who came from Kaphtor, destroyed them and dwelt in their place. Arise, set out and pass over the Wadi Arnon. See, I have given into your hand Sihon, the Amorite sovereign of Heshbon, and his land. Begin to possess it, and stir up yourself against him in battle. This day I begin to put the dread and fear of you upon the people under all the heavens, who when they hear the report of you shall tremble and shake because of you. Then I sent messengers from the wilderness of Kedemoth to Sihon, sovereign of Heshbon, with words of peace, saying, let me pass over through your land on the highway. I shall go on the highway and turn neither to the right nor to the left. What food you sell me for silver, I shall eat, and what water you give me for silver, I shall drink. Only let me pass over on foot, as the descendants of Esau, who dwell in Seir, and the Moabites, who dwell in Ar, did for me, until I pass over the Jordan to the land Yahweh our Elohim is giving us. But Sihon, sovereign of Heshbon, would not let us pass over, for Yahweh your Elohim hardened his spirit and strengthened his heart, to give him into your hand, as it is this day. And Yahweh said to me, see, I have begun to give Sihon and his land over to you. Begin to possess, in order to possess his land. And Sihon and all his people came out against us to fight at Yahatz, and Yahweh Elohim gave him over to us. So we struck him and his sons and all his people, and we took all his cities at that time, and we put the men, women, and little ones of every city under the ban. We left none remaining, only the livestock we took as plunder for ourselves, and the spoil of the cities which we captured. From Arar, which is on the edge of the Wadi Arnon, and the city that is by the Wadi, as far as Galad, there was not one city too high for us. Yahweh our Elohim gave all to us. Only you did not go near the land of the children of Ammon, anywhere along the Wadi Yabok, or to the cities of the mountains, or anywhere as Yahweh our Elohim commanded us. Excuse me. Chapter 3. Then we turned and went up the way to Bashan, and Og, sovereign of Bashan, came out against us, he and all his people, to battle at Edrei. And Yahweh said to me, do not fear him, for I have given him and all his people and his land into your hand. And you shall do to him as you did to Sihon, sovereign of the Amorites, who dwelt at Heshbon. So Yahweh Elohim also gave into our hands Og, sovereign of Bashan, with all his people, and we struck him until he had no survivors remaining. And we captured all his cities at that time. There was not a city which we did not take from them. 60 cities, all the district of Argob, the reign of Og in Bashan. All these cities were fenced with high walls, gates, and bars, besides a great many unwalled towns. And we put them under the ban, as we did to Sihon, sovereign of Heshbon, putting the men, the women, and the children of every city under the ban. But all the livestock and the spoil of the cities we took as booty for ourselves. And at that time we took the land from the hand of the two sovereigns of the Amorites that was beyond the Jordan, from the Wadi Arnon to Mount Hermon. Sidonians call Hermon Sirion, and the Amorites call it Senir. all the cities of the plain, all Gilad, and all Bashan, as far as Salcah and Edrei, cities in the reign of Og and Bashan. For only Og, sovereign of Bashan, was left of the remnant of the Rephites. See, his bedstead was an iron bedstead. Is it not in Rabbah of the children of Ammon? 9 cubits is its length, and 4 cubits its width, according to the cubit of a man. And this land, which we possessed at that time from Aror, which is by the Wadi Arnon, and half the mountains of Gilad and its cities, I gave to the Reubenites and the Gadites, and the rest of Gilad and all Bashan, the reign of Og, I gave to half the tribe of Manasseh. All the district of Argob, with all Bashan, called the land of the Rephites. Yair, son of Manasseh, had taken all the district of Argob, as far as the border of the Gershites and the Maacathites, and called them after his own name, the Bashan of Hawoth Yair, to this day. And to Machir I gave Gilad, and to the Reubenites and the Gadites I gave from Gilad as far as the Wadi Arnon, the middle of the wadi as the border, as far as the Wadi Yabok, the border of the children of Ammon, and the desert plain with the Yarden as the border, from Kinnereth as far as the sea of the Arba, the salt sea, below the slopes of Pisgah on the east. And I commanded you at that time, saying, Yahweh your Elohim has given you this land to possess. All you sons of might pass over armed before your brothers, the children of Israel. But let your wives and your little ones and your livestock, I know that you have much livestock, stay in your cities which I have given you until Yahweh has given rest to your brothers. As to you, and they also possess the land which Yahweh your Elohim is giving them beyond the Yarden. Then you shall return each man to his possession which I have given you. And I commanded Yehoshua at that time, saying, Your eyes have seen all that Yahweh your Elohim has done to these 2 sovereigns. Yahweh does the same to all the reigns which you are passing over. Do not fear them, for Yahweh your Elohim himself fights for you. And I pleaded with Yahweh at that time, saying, O Master Yahweh, you have begun to show your servant your greatness and your strong hand, for who is a mighty one in the heavens or on earth who does according to your works and according to your might? I pray, let me pass over and see the good land beyond the Yarden, this good hill country, and Lebanon. Excuse me. But Yahweh was enraged with me for your sake, and would not listen to me. And Yahweh said to me, Enough of that. Speak no more to me about this matter. Go up to the top of Pisgah, and lift up your eyes westward, and northward, and southward, and eastward, and look with your eyes, for you do not pass over this Yarden. But command Yehoshua, and strengthen him, and make him brave, for he shall pass over before this people, and cause them to inherit the land which you see. And we dwelt in the valley opposite Beth Peor. Chapter 4. And now, O Israel, listen to the laws and the right rulings which I am teaching you to do, so that you live, and shall go in and possess the land which Yahweh Elohim of your fathers is giving you. Do not add to the word which I command you, and do not take away from it, so as to guard the commands of Yahweh your Elohim which I am commanding you. Your eyes have seen what Yahweh did at Baal Peor, for Yahweh your Elohim has destroyed from your midst all the men who followed Baal Peor. But you, who are clinging to Yahweh, your Elohim, are alive today, every one of you. See, I have taught you laws and right rulings, as Yahweh my Elohim commanded me to do, thus in the land which you go to possess, and you shall guard and do them. For this is your wisdom and your understanding before the eyes of the peoples, who hear all these laws, and they shall say, only a wise and understanding people is this great nation. For what great nation is there which has Elohim so near to it as Yahweh our Elohim is to us, whenever we call on him? And what great nation is there that has such laws and right rulings like this, all this Torah, which I set before you this day? Only guard yourself and guard your life diligently, lest you forget the words your eyes have seen, and lest they turn aside from your heart all the days of your life. And you shall make them known to your children and your grandchildren. The day when you stood before Yahweh your Elohim in Horeb, Yahweh said to me, assemble the people to me, and I make them hear my words, so that they learn to fear me all the days they live on the earth, and teach them to their children. And you came near and stood at the foot of the mountain, and the mountain burned with fire to the heart of the heavens, darkness, cloud, and thick darkness. And Yahweh spoke to you out of the midst of the fire. You heard a voice of words, but saw no form. You only heard a voice, and he made known to you his covenant, which he commanded you to do, the 10 words, and he wrote them on 2 tablets of stone. And Yahweh commanded me at that time to teach you laws and right rulings for you to do them in the land which you pass over to possess. Therefore diligently guard yourselves. Excuse me. For you saw no form when Yahweh spoke to you at Horeb out of the midst of the fire, lest you should do corruptly, and shall make for yourselves a carved image, in the form of any figure, the likeness of male or female, the likeness of any beast that is on the earth, or the likeness of any winged bird that flies in the heavens, the likeness of any creature that creeps on the ground, or the likeness of any fish that is in the water under the earth, unless you lift up your eyes to the heavens, and shall see the sun, and the moon, and the stars, all the host of the heavens, and you be drawn away into bowing down to them and serving them, which Yahweh your Elohim has allotted to all the peoples under all the heavens. But Yahweh has taken you and brought you out of the iron furnace, out of Mitzrayim, to be his people, an inheritance as it is today. And Yahweh was enraged with me because of your words, and swore that I would not pass over the Jordan, and that I would not enter the good land which Yahweh your Elohim is giving you as an inheritance. For I am to die in this land. I am not passing over the Jordan, but you are passing over, and shall possess all that good land. Guard yourselves lest you forget the covenant of Yahweh your Elohim which he made with you, and shall make for yourselves a carved image in any form, as Yahweh your Elohim has commanded you. For Yahweh your Elohim is a consuming fire, a jealous El. When you bring forth children and grandchildren, and shall grow old in the land, and shall do corruptly, and make a carved image in the form of whatever, and shall do what is evil in the eyes of Yahweh your Elohim, to provoke him, I shall call the heavens and earth to witness against you on that day, and you soon completely perish from the land which you pass over the Jordan to possess. You do not prolong your days in it, but are completely destroyed. And Yahweh shall scatter you among the peoples, and you shall be left few in number among the nations where Yahweh drives you. And there you shall serve mighty ones, the work of men's hands, wood and stone, which neither see nor hear nor eat nor smell. But from there you shall seek Yahweh your Elohim, and shall find when you search for him with all your heart and with all your being. In your distress, when all these words shall come upon you in the latter days, then you shall return to Yahweh your Elohim and shall obey his voice. For Yahweh your Elohim is compassionate El. He does not forsake you, nor destroy you, nor forget the covenant of your fathers which he swore to them. For ask now of the days that are past, which were before you since the day that Elohim created man on the earth, and ask from one end of the heavens to the other end of the heavens, whether there has been a word as great as this, or has been heard like it. Has a people heard the voice of Elohim, speaking out of the midst of the fire, as you have heard, and live? Or has Elohim tried to go and take for himself a nation from the midst of a nation by trials, and by signs, and by wonders, and by battle, and by strong hand, and an outstretched arm, and by great fearsome deeds, according to all that Yahweh your Elohim did for you in Mitzrayim before your eyes? You have been shown it, to know that Yahweh himself is Elohim. There is no one beside him. From the heavens he let you hear his voice, to instruct you, and on earth he showed you his great fire, and you heard his words out of the midst of the fire. And because he loved your fathers, therefore he chose their seed after them, and brought you out of Mitzrayim with his presence, with his great power, to drive out from before you nations greater and stronger than you, to bring you in, to give you their land as an inheritance as it is today. And you shall know today, and shall recall to your heart, that Yahweh himself is Elohim in the heavens, above and on the earth beneath. There is none else. And you shall guard his laws and his commands, which I command you today, so that it is well with you and with your children after you, and so that you prolong your days on the soil which Yahweh your Elohim is giving you for all time. Then Moshe separated 3 cities beyond the Jordan toward the rising of the sun, for a manslayer to flee there, he who unknowingly murdered his neighbor, without having hated him in time past, and might flee to one of these cities and live. Betzer in the wilderness in the level land of the Reubenites, and Ramoth in Galad for the Gadites, and Golan in Bashan for the Manashites. And this is the Torah which Moshe set before the children of Israel. These are the witnesses and the laws and the right rulings which Moshe spoke to the children of Israel after they came out of Mitzrayim, beyond the Jordan in the valley, opposite Beth Peor, in the land of Sihon, sovereign of the Amorites who dwelt at Heshbon, whom Moshe and the children of Israel had stricken after they came out of Mitzrayim. And they took possession of his land, and the land of Og, sovereign of Bashan, 2 sovereigns of the Amorites who were beyond the Jordan toward the rising of the sun, from Aroer, which is on the bank of the Wadi Arnon, even to Mount Sihon, which is in Hermon, and all the desert plain beyond the Jordan as far as the sea of Arba, below the slopes of Pigsa. Chapter 5. And Moshe called all Israel, and said to them, Hear, O Israel, the laws and right rulings which I speak in your hearing today, and you shall learn them, and guard to do them. Yahweh our Elohim has made a covenant with us in Horeb. Yahweh did not make this covenant with our fathers, but with us, those who are here today, all of us who are alive. Yahweh spoke with you face to face on the mountain from the midst of the fire. I stood between Yahweh and you at that time to declare to you the word of Yahweh, for you were afraid because of the fire, and you did not go up the mountain, saying, I am Yahweh your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim, out of the house of bondage. You have no other mighty ones against my face. You do not make for yourself a carved image, any likeness of which is in the heavens above, or which is in the earth beneath, or which is in the waters under the earth. You do not bow down to them, nor serve them, for I, Yahweh your Elohim, am a jealous El, visiting the crookedness of the fathers upon the children, to the 3rd and 4th generations of those who hate me, but showing loving commitment to thousands, to those who love me and guard my commands. You do not bring the name of Yahweh your Elohim to naught, for Yahweh does not leave him unpunished who brings his name to naught. Guard the Sabbath day to set it apart, as Yahweh your Elohim commanded you. 6 days you labor, and shall do all your work. But the 7th day is the Sabbath of Yahweh your Elohim. You do not do any work, you nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your male servant, nor your female servant, nor your ox, nor your donkey, nor any of your cattle, nor your sojourner who is within your gates, so that your male servant and your female servant rest as you do. And you shall remember that you were a slave in the land of Mitzrayim, and that Yahweh your Elohim brought you out from there by a strong hand and by an outstretched arm. Therefore Yahweh your Elohim commanded you to perform the Sabbath day. Respect your father and your mother, as Yahweh your Elohim has commanded you, so that your days are prolonged, and so that it is well with you on the soil which Yahweh your Elohim is giving you. You do not murder. You do not commit adultery. You do not steal. You do not bear false witness against your neighbor. You do not covet your neighbor's wife, nor do you desire your neighbor's house, his field, nor his male servant, nor his female servant, his ox, nor his donkey, or whatever belongs to your neighbor. These words Yahweh spoke to all your assembly in the mountain from the midst of the fire, of the cloud, and of the thick darkness with a loud voice. And he added no more. And he wrote them on 2 tablets of stone and gave them to me. And it came to be, when you heard the voice from the midst of the darkness, while the mountain was burning with fire, that you came near to me, all the heads of your tribes and your elders, and said, See, Yahweh our Elohim has shown us his esteem and his greatness, and we have heard his voice from the midst of the fire. Today we have seen that Elohim speaks with man, and he lives. And now why should we die? For this great fire is consuming us. If we hear the voice of Yahweh our Elohim any more, then we shall die. For who is there of all flesh who has heard the voice of the living Elohim speaking from the midst of the fire, as we have, and does live? You go near and hear all Yahweh our Elohim says, and speak to us all Yahweh our Elohim says to you, and we shall hear it and do it. And Yahweh heard the voice of your words when you spoke to me. And Yahweh said to me, I have heard the voice of the words of this people which they have spoken to you. They have done well in all that they have spoken. Oh, that they had such a heart in them to fear me and to guard all my commands always, so that it might be well with them and with their children forever. Go, say to them, return to your tents. But you, stand here by me, and let me speak to you all the commands and the laws and the right rulings which you are to teach them. And they shall do them in the land which I am giving them to possess. And you shall guard to do as Yahweh your Elohim has commanded you. Do not turn aside to the right or to the left. Walk in all the ways which Yahweh your Elohim has commanded you, so that you live and it be well with you, and you shall prolong your days in the land which you possess. Shalom. Have a blessed day.